Trying to log into Twitch. Sorry, folks. In case anyone's watching. I don't know if anyone's watching because I am not logged into Twitch. Close. No.
Yeah, I will be. I'll be seeing him tomorrow.
Fucking hate videos that autoplay. Creator dashboard, maybe? Manage stream. There we go. Okay. Nobody is here. Good. Okay, I think we're good regarding passwords. Oh, I have a Twitter notification. Wow. Okay. Streaming live right now at twitch.tv/transgirl_420. Come hang. Smiley face. Oh. What? Twitter is psychotic now. Okay. We're good. Okay. What are we doing today? Nothing. That's what. Also, let me know if my audio is acting weird. I'm using a different microphone. I got this ribbon microphone. It was on Saleh. And it was, I've always wanted a Ribbon Macaraphone, a Ribbon Macaraphone. So yeah, that's my story. No, oh my god, don't save project. X, click, exit. We have a modular synthesizer. I think I'm going to change shirts, but let me just grab some cocoa first. I'm going to be right back. I'm going to change my shirts. Oh, I see. Don't focus on that. That's the webcam. It's lame. Okay, so God damn it! I'm so disorganized. I found it. I found it. Okay. Just a second. I'm just changing shirts. Nothing inappropriate. Don't worry. Oh yeah, so what was I saying? So I've been doing some synthesis, some audio synthesis. And beep. Let's move you this way. A little more. Oops. Sorry for all the ruckus. It didn't even work. Okay. Oh, thanks. Good to see you too. Well, I can't see you. So good to hear from you. It's been a while. I need to reinstall my monitor mount on my wall. It's like getting in the way. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, so I got a new microphone. It's called a ribbon microphone. Hopefully it sounds okay, but if it doesn't, just let me know. And we can do some ASMR. Settings, stream, output. Video, audio. Okay, I think we're good. So, what we have here is a synthesizer, modular synthesizer. And what is, so as you may or may not know, audio synthesis is using electronics electronics to generate sound, which is fun. And so basically, sound is what our brain perceives as, or is how our brain perceives changes in air pressure hitting our eardrums. And so fast changes in pressure will result in our eardrum moving, and that will like trigger our brain or whatever. So for example, when you're at a high altitude, for example, and then you go to a low altitude, sometimes your ears pop, and it's because like the wax is like making a seal, and then like at high altitude the pressure is lower than at sea level, and so then it equalizes, and you hear a popping sound because it's literally two different pressures, the low pressure, and then it becomes high pressure, and so that is why we hear a popping sound. Very fun, because it's literally two different air pressures, or like one pressure and then a different pressure. Now to extrapolate, so another fun little thing is that we hear. Okay. So electronics, you can. Let's give it a shot. Sorry, my prayer beads fell. If you want to create sound electronically, you need to use electrical impulses to generate pressure waves. So in order to do that, on the synthesis side, that you take a speaker, which is basically a magnet, an electromagnet that moves back and forth depending on the voltage input. So if it's at like 5 volts, it'll be here. If it's at negative 5 volts, it'll be here. And so if you, basically it's translating voltage into a spatial, into like space, right? And no, not full screen. Exit. It's converting. So basically, if you have a device that generates a voltage, you can control where the position of the speaker. And to make audio, so if you wanted to make a, I should demonstrate. Okay, let's see. Let's do, I know. Okay, so I'm going to take a saw wave and basically what a saw, whoops. Basically, what we have here, this device here, is a oscillator, and basically an oscillator. So another fundamental of sound that is really more of into the neuroscience of it is when a changes in pressure occur at like high frequencies, our brain, instead of hearing it as like a popping sound or just like nothing, essentially, it turns into a pitch. So you can imagine if you have a device that produces a very fast fluctuation of voltage, and you hook that up to a speaker. If you hook it up to a speaker, it'll move the speaker back and forth really quickly, and then that will generate rapid changes in air pressure. And when it hits our eardrums, depending on the frequency or number of cycles of movements per second, our brain will perceive it as a low pitch if it's moving at a lower number per second, or a high pitch if it's at a fast per second, fast number if it's high frequency. So like you know how sort of like when you're pronouncing a low note, your vocal cords are vibrating less quickly, but if you pronounce a high note, your vocal cords are vibrating more fast. So to start, let's demonstrate that just that you can hear a change in air pressure. So what we're using, this is a voltage oscillator. So it's basically a device that outputs a fluctuating voltage. What we'll be using is a sawtooth wave. And what that does is it depending on, it's at 0 volts, and then it's going to jump up to 10 volts, and then fall back down to 0 volts. But the fall will be gradual. Hang on, sorry, I got distracted. Sorry, that was undignified. I apologize. There it is. We can actually visually demonstrate this as well using a oscilloscope, which is cool. Very, very cool. C'est très cool. C'est très cool. Oui, oui. Okay. I don't know why it's... Oh. So there is a voltage coming in. Wonder why. Okay. Oh, here we go. Okay. So... Okay. So here you can see is a sawtooth wave, because basically this is measuring the voltage. So it's here it goes for, okay, so it starts at -5 and jumps to +5. So it goes -5 to +5 and then gradually drops off again. And so that's going very slowly. So the only sound you might hear is from when it jumps up in voltage, which I'm not sure if is going to be very audible, also because it's not plugged in. Oh yeah, okay. So I don't know if you could hear that, but there was a popping sound. So if you can hear that. Too loud. Okay. So that is basically the at this point in the wave where it jumps up, is because basically the speaker is moving in the same way that this oscillator is that we see on the oscilloscope. We can spread it out a little so it's easier to see. But basically, it's the speaker is going to go slowly in one direction as the voltage gradually decreases, and then suddenly move back to the original location. And so that's why we hear a popping sound. However, this is a low frequency oscillator because it oscillates at a low frequency. However, if we increase that frequency, so you can still hear the popping individually, but at some point fluctuating voltage into noise. And, you know, if you, you know, boom, problem solved. Suddenly, if we can control the frequency of the oscillator using a keyboard, then suddenly we can actually make some music, or muzak, as some would call it, depending on, you know, where you're from. So here, this oscillator. This keyboard, it has a so this is so basically, sorry, I should go back. The first kind of main thing about synthesis is using is generating oscillations, voltage oscillations, and then running that through a speaker, and that creates sound. And just so that, I'm gonna plug in a gate just to make this a little, but we're gonna skip some of this stuff for a moment. Yoink, yoink. Okay, so to change the pitch of a tone, basically we change the number of oscillations per second. For example, the note A is 440 oscillations per second. That's how like instruments in the West are tuned. Is so right right. Oh yeah. Okay. So number of oscillations per second to change pitch. But how about the timbre? Now, what's timbre? Timbre, spelled Timbre, is the kind of the quality of the sound, and it's basically, you ever wonder why if you play a piano key and then you pluck a harp string, they sound different, even if you're playing the same note? Like you play a C on a piano and a C on a harp, it sounds different. Why is that? Well, they have different timbres. That's basically how you describe the quality of the sound, even if they're playing the same pitch. And the science is kind of complicated about why, like, they sound different, but fundamentally, it's just like the same number of oscillations, but to get a different timbre, it's basically the wave looks different. So, for example, we're using a saw wave. But let's do a sine wave, which is like a sine wave from math class, which is just like up and down, up and down. And that is a very kind of basic tone. Some would say. Some might say. So, as you can tell, that sounds pretty different from the saw wave. Here's a triangle. Oh, and also, you can saw wave what the oscillations look like, and now with a sine wave, it's maybe a little hard to tell, but the corners are smoother. Actually, if we here's a triangle wave, which is similar to a sine wave, but just with linear edges. And then here is a square or pulse wave, which instead of doesn't have any movement between the notes, it's just jumping between plus 5 volts and negative 5 volts. And now, oh, and this has a few other interesting oscillators. It has this kind of so that's fun. And then it has a sub oscillator, which I think just, I don't know what is actually. I guess. Anyway, now why do different notes sound different? Or why do different instruments, they have a different timbre, but why? So when it comes down to it, basically what timbre is the phenomenon where if you have a wave, like a voltage wave or a sound wave, it will, if you play an A on a piano, the string is gonna vibrate at 440 oscillations per second. But in addition to that, based on just like the physics of the instrument, how it works, there's always going to be other oscillations occurring just at like lower volume, so you don't like the primary oscillation is still the main, A440. However, there might be another oscillation occurring that's at 880 hertz, which is 1 octave above. Basically, different sounds of different instruments are based on what other oscillations are occurring as a result of the primary oscillation. So when a piano plays an A, it's getting these other oscillations, at various values that are specific to a piano, whereas if you pluck a guitar string, it has whatever, a different profile, basically. And we can actually see that using this FFT, frequency, FFT. What does FFT stand for? It's like a frequency spectrum analyzer. But basically what this does is it will show us where the oscillations are happening. So if I use so right now I'm plugged into a sine wave. Vertical. So you can ignore it also shows the sine wave itself, but if you look down produces that oscillation at whatever note you're playing. That's why a sine wave sounds kind of like just very basic. However, if we switch to a sawtooth wave, this is going to be very different. So. There's like formulas to figure out what, like, it's at certain ratios that will oscillate. So like generally it's like there's the oscillations and then the partials, which are the other ones that are oscillating. And I think the first one is at 1 octave above. And so if you play then this C above it will also be playing to some degree. And then the second one is the fifth above that, so that would be a G in this case. And so with a sawtooth, at that, rate, and that's why it sounds like it does. If we try a triangle wave, you'll see something interesting, which is that there's a lot less, but also basically they're a little more spaced out. So basically, in a triangle wave, whereas with the sawtooth wave, it was every, as you climb up the ladder of, secondary oscillations, all of them were acting. With a triangle wave, it's every other one. So basically, the triangle wave, you hear a C, and then you don't hear the C above it, but you do hear the G above it. I think that's how it works, or it might be switched, something like that. But that is a triangle wave. And what's fun is a clarinet has a similar pattern to a triangle wave. So you can imagine if you run instruments through a frequency analyzer, you can see which oscillations are happening, and then you can recreate that electronically and have something that sounds similar to the instrument. Wow, isn't that fascinating? I think it's fascinating. Okay. So that is oscillations, and basically you can, to change the pitch, you change the frequency of oscillations, and to change the timbre, you change how the wave looks effectively. That's a sawtooth, and this is a sine wave. So that's, if you want to create different sounds, you can basically change how the wave looks. So that's fun. But now is where stuff that's kind of true of any instrument. But here we have a synthesizer. And what's going on with a synthesizer? So a synthesizer, without even knowing, I've secretly added some more parameters, but that would have been complicated, so I didn't say anything. However, the next, so with a synthesizer, you have these, oscillators like this one here, and but if you just run an oscillator, you have this knob. You can change the frequency. You could plug in a different oscillator. But that's all, physically, manually. So how do we do that in a way that's easy? Well, it's simple, by golly. And that's with something called control voltage. And so basically, all of these things in a synthesizer, so this, for example, this oscillator here, if it will accept in this little plug here what's called 1 volt per octave, and so basically it will, based on the voltage that you put in, it will change how fast the oscillation is occurring. So what I have here with my little keyboard, I have there's a little thing here that says pitch right down here, and so we plug that into the oscillator where it says 1 volt per octave, and basically when I press this C here, it is sending out a certain frequency that corresponds to, well, I guess it's like it's kind of more. It's not like this oscillator knows how to play a C, but it with if you give it 0 volts, it'll play a certain note. Depending on, you can tune it basically manually, and then you play a certain note, and then if you add 1 more volt, it will add another octave. So basically, maybe if I play this C down here, I'm giving it 1 volt, but if I play this C up here, I'm giving it 2 volts. And then the scale is divided into 12 equal notes. So basically, all you have to do if you're making an oscillator is make it so that the frequency is equally set to change at each twelfth of a volt or whatever, to change by 1/12 of an octave. So yeah, let's see. Does that make sense? I hope so. I'm trying to learn all of this stuff, and they say the best way to learn is to teach. So anyway, how's everybody doing? Hope everyone's doing well. Thanks for coming out tonight. I know everybody's pretty busy because it's election year. Just kidding, that doesn't make any sense. I was in Bolivia. Just got back a few weeks ago. That's why I'm showing this. And Chile and Bolivia. I was there right before the failed coup. It was crazy. We were in the square where they rammed a tank into the presidential building or whatever, 2 days before it happened. It was crazy. Anyway, and then we went to Chile. We went to Santiago. I really like Santiago. If you ever get a chance, highly recommend it. And then we went to Atacama, the Atacama Desert. And then from there, we drove into Bolivia and went to the salt flats and La Paz and stuff. It's pretty cool. Anyway, all right, control voltage. So another form of control voltage. So basically, in a synthesizer, a lot of these modules will be called VCX. So this is a VCO, voltage controlled oscillator, and that means basically that it's producing some wave fluctuation, but you can control the various parameters of that wave using voltage. So this one has 1 volt per octave input. So it's basically built into this oscillator that it'll run at whatever frequency based on the voltage. It also has sync, which makes it, if you're running it at a low frequency and you send in a sync signal, it will match up with whatever sync signal you do. Pulse width modulation can be controlled, and basically pulse width is when you're using a square wave. And generally, it has equal up at 5 volts and at 0 volts. So it's but you can change the width of each pulse. Frequency, you can also control, basically you're controlling this knob, but instead of physically, you're using voltage. So let's see that in action, why don't we? So up here is another oscillator. It's a LFO, which stands for low frequency oscillator. And so basically it can be used to produce like sound that we hear, but its main purpose is to produce control voltage, because it's going like really slowly, so at low frequencies of sound you don't hear anything. However, it's the same type of voltage oscillation that is used to create sound, but in this case we're using it to control other parts of our synthesizer. So here, I don't know if you can see the light, but it's like going on and off. So it's like a very slow oscillation. So if you plug this into, your speaker, you're not going to hear anything. But let's plug it into our pulse width modulation control. This knob here just tells the oscillator like how much to change this parameter based on this. So if we set it all the way down, it's not gonna, the change in voltage won't do anything. But if we set it, halfway up, it'll produce, some change. And if we set it all the way up, it'll produce the most change. So let's take a look. Basically what we should see is those square waves, but the width of each pulse, or each up, down area, will change over time as this oscillator changes. Testing, testing. Testing. Is my sound working? I can't tell. I'm like a little concerned, but not concerned enough, if you ask me. I can't tell if testing, testing. Testing. Testing, testing. What am I plugged into? Oops. Testing, testing. Oops. Oh, I know. Testing, testing. Okay. Well, hopefully the sound is okay. Is there a way to tell in Twitch? Oops. Okay. Testing, testing. Okay, okay. Seems to be working. Anyway, so yeah, how's everybody doing? Right, what was I talking about? Oh yeah. Modulation. So basically, as a frequency increases, this oscillator here is on really high, and this oscillator is interpreting that as basically controlling this knob. Okay. So that is, and control voltage basically can do anything. You can have anything, not anything, I guess, technically. But like you can have basically like anything that you can do with your hands, you can have control voltage take care of. Like turning knobs instead, basically, like not all modules will have that feature, but like, often, if there's a knob that you can turn to like change something, some quality of the sound, then often there will be a little plug that you can plug in and use voltage to do basically turning the knob. But yeah, instead of you doing it, it's another thing. So another type of control voltage control is using a voltage controlled amplifier, which is what this little thing is. And so basically, voltage controlled amplifier is you feed in a sound signal, and then it has an input and an output. So you plug in, your oscillator that's making some sound, and then you send the output to your speaker, your mixer, or whatever. And then it has so normally, you can imagine just like a little like mixing thing. You have your input and your output, and then like a little dial to turn up and down the sound. So that's like, you can kind of imagine that. With a VCA, voltage controlled amplifier, instead of that knob, you have voltage input, control voltage input, where it's labeled CV here. So this row, there's 8 of them in this, for what it's worth. So right now, basically what I did without telling anybody, so it was very secretive, and I do apologize, is if we weren't using this, it would just constantly the sound would just oh, right. Yoink. No. What? Oh yeah. It would be relentless. But instead, oh whoops. Took out my So even though it says amplifier, it's not really it's not like taking the signal and boosting it. It's basically controlling, like, here's the like signal level. It's not like you have a really low signal and it's making it super high. It's more controlling like how much of that signal is going, or like how like much comes out. So it's so basically what I have done here is, well, let's first do an example. Let's put in the VCO, or sorry, the LFO, which also happens to be a VCO, but that's a lot of things do multiple things, or sort of can do different functions. So here, before I had it hooked up to my keyboard, but now we have it hooked up to this oscillator, which is doing fluctuating voltage. And so, as you can hear, right now, basically, as the voltage from this oscillator goes up and down, that tells the amplifier how much of the signal should go through. So when the most voltage is coming from this, it'll send the most signal through, but then when it goes down to 0, no signal will come through. This is producing a sine wave, or maybe a triangle wave, but it can also produce a square wave, and as you can imagine, a square wave, instead of making it sound like kind of a smooth wah wah wah, it'll just do on and then off. Because it's just going from 5 to 0, 5 to 0, or whatever it is doing. And this can actually be like it has you can mix it between a triangle and a square, so it'll like kind of do a little bit of triangle, and yeah. And actually, what we can do, if we want, is see what it looks like in our oscilloscopy. Okay, I've made, so the green line is the voltage of this low frequency oscillator, and then the blue line is of the sound that we're hearing, basically. And so, as you can see, as the green line jumps up, that tells the voltage controlled amplifier to, put out all of the signal. And then as it decreases, the sound goes away. Interesting. Anyway, oh yeah, the farther from the middle it is, that's like the greater value, that it has more amplitude. So what that results in for this oscillation, the blue one that is what we're hearing, is it sounds louder, like we can hear it more because of the higher amplitude. Whereas with control voltage, that corresponds to basically more effect on whatever it's controlling. Okay, that's enough of that. So instead, let's go back here, and this is what's called an envelope generator. And basically what this is doing, whenever I play any note, doesn't matter, on this keyboard, a signal called a gate signal, it's basically just an on or off signal, but comes out of this wire here, and I feed it into this little module, which is called an ADSR, an envelope generator, and it has this gate input. And basically, whenever it is detecting a signal from this gate, it creates a function, a control voltage function. So the reason it's called ADSR is because it has different stages. So basically, once you open the gate or you press the note, the keyboard generates a voltage. This envelope generator it tells it, okay, it's time to create an envelope. And so it will create output voltage and send it out of this into the VCA based on what we have these dials set to, or these can also be set through control voltage, but that's a little more complicated. But so basically, once you press the key down, it goes through the stages attack, decay, sustain, and release. So basically, attack is they all have different values set for them. So the value in all of them, it's basically a measure of time other than sustain, but we'll get to that. For attack, that is defining once you open the gate, so once it detects voltage, how long does it take for the signal to become the highest level it'll be at. So say it's, going from 0 volts to 10 volts. The attack is defining how long it'll take to reach 10 volts. So if it's at no time, it'll just immediately go up. But if it's at 5 seconds or something, it'll gradually increase the voltage over 5 seconds. So that's with a short attack. With a longer attack, as you can hear, it takes longer to reach that voltage. Basically, we're running it through this amplifier right now, so when we hear the sound get loud, that is a result of this, increasing its voltage. You can change it so it's very slow or very fast. All right. We're going to skip decay and sustain for now because release is basically, it means once you close the gate, how long does it take for the voltage to go back down to 0? Because it's it, you know, you go bring it up to 10 and it has to go down to 0. So, so if you have like if it's like a piano without the pedal pressed down, I mean, on a piano, there's still going to be some acoustics after, but basically it'll silence immediately. So to recreate, so that you have the release set to 0. So you press it down, and then when you lift off, it just immediately cuts out. We can raise it, and as you can imagine, once we lift our finger, the sound will taper off more gradually. Like that. This has a little a switch that you can flip that changes the curve of the cutoff between just a linear decrease or a logarithmic decrease. We'll keep it at linear for now, but depending on what you're trying to make, you might want to change that. So next, we're going to go out of order. We're going to do sustain. Sustain is kind of different because it's basically the, like, depending on what you set it as, it's instead of setting it as a time, it sets a voltage, or in this case, since we're using it with an amplifier, it'll be the volume. So sustain is basically once the attack and decay stages are complete. So for example, the attack stage actually lights up. And you can see it, but once it reaches the full stage, we're going to ignore decay for now. How loud is it going to be while you're just holding the note down? So, for example, if we want a quick, or like a sound like that, for whatever reason, I'm holding the note down. But since sustain is set to 0, it's just going to drop off. If I want it to, start out with the big sound, but then go down to a quiet sound, but still be there. Okay, that's still too quiet. You might still be able to hear that. It's kind of quiet, but... And we have a release. So that sustain is basically the level of the signal while the gate is open and after you've finished attack and decay. Decay is basically after attack. Attack is from 0 to 10 or 0 to maximum. Decay is the length of time it takes for the signal to decrease from its maximum to whatever you set the sustain amount to. So if you set the same amount to maximum, decay is not going to matter. It'll just, because it's not. But if you sustain to 0 or to something low. Oh, right. Hopefully you can still hear that. So right now, I have it so that it just immediately goes from the maximum to the sustain value because I have decay set to 0. But if I set decay to, halfway up, it'll, instead of immediately dropping from the maximum signal to the sustain level, it'll kind of go more gradually. So that was more of a... It's a little hard to tell. So basically, yeah, it's this in order. Attack is when you open the gate, when it detects an on signal effectively, is how long it takes to reach the maximum signal strength. Decay is the amount of time it takes once the attack phase is finished for it to decrease to the sustain level. Sustain is the level of the signal while the gate is open once attack and decay is finished. And then release is once you close the gate, how long does it take to just go back to a 0 level of voltage. So you can use this to create some interesting tones. For example, if I want if I set everything to 0, you'll barely hear anything. But if I say have the attack is nothing, but the decay is a little bit, it'll sound kind of, it's kind of like this. It's not really working with this particular one, but you can kind of make it sound like you're plucking a guitar string, for example. This one has, I feel like I get a better guitar plucking sound, but you can kind of imagine. If you just want like a straight up on off, basically, while you're pressing the note down, you set sustain to maximum, everything else to nothing. If you want it to kind of taper off after, just set the release to whatever. No, wait, did I plug in? Why does it sound like that? That's weird. We're having a moment. Apologize, friends. I don't know. I'm just going to turn my keyboard off and on again. I feel like some setting got changed. I don't know what it was. I have no idea what's wrong. It's not packing. What am I? It's the problem with this kind of thing is like there's so many different factors that it's just like it gets very chaotic. And, you know, like for some reason the tuning is like super messed up. That's not an octave, but I don't actually know what. Oh, I got switched to an LFO. That's why. In LFO mode, low frequency, it has two modes. One is VCO. Basically, they're both oscillators. This is just slow oscillation. This is fast oscillation. And at the slow oscillation, the notes don't track per octave correctly. But as you can hear when I switch, though, it's much slower. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, let's get to so now that we know all about that, let's do some jamming. Does that sound good? I should probably spit out my coca. BRB. I'll put out my cocoa. Okay, and we're back. Time for some grooves. Okay, today oops, let's get you out of the way. We will be using this little instrument here called the Oxy 1 to control our synthesizer. So okay, so many cables. Yoink. First, do you guys like grooving? Because I sure do. Let's get a beat down. Or let's, not a beat down, that sounds violent. Let's throw down a beat. My stick isn't sticking. How sad. All right. Don't have any coca in my teeth, hopefully. Okay, good. All right. So this is a sequencer that I'm learning how to use. Has a few tricks up its sleeve, up its sleeve. I don't know why I'm saying that weird. So I have this oscillator here, and then this is basically a full synthesizer that, oh, I don't know if you can see that. This here is a full synthesizer that you can add other synthesizers to. So let's start by plugging in the gate outputs and then the voltage controlled oscillators. Today I will be using this device to keep everything in tune, because it makes it easier to tune than dialing all these knobs. So basically what does this correspond to? This is going, okay, so it'll go with that one. Cool. All right. This is volts per octave, these two cables, or no, not that cable. These two cables. Ooh. And this device basically corrects it so that it is tuned to whatever oscillator they're connected to. So, for example, if I want to use the, let's use this weird looking one. On this, basically, since this has multiple outputs, I don't actually need to, I can plug a different one of it because it's the same frequency. It'll plug into here. This is gonna hear what note basically it's playing, and basically then I will plug this output into the volts per octave, and it will basically like change the tuning of the signal coming from here to match with the oscillator itself. And that way, I don't have to, worry about turning these dials until it reaches the most accurate tuning or whatever. So VCO, tune in. Octave, let's go up. Play. Let me make sure that it is actually playing. Let's take this. Oh, I know what's wrong. That was dumb. I forgot to put volts per octave back in. No wonder. Just your stream is under Magic the Gathering. Yeah, thank you. I stopped playing Magic. I should probably change that. Thank you. I do appreciate that. I will delete it. I'm sorry, Magic the Gathering. Oh, I would go off on Magic, but I'm in a music playing mood, so. Oh man, I can't believe what they did to Magic. What they did to my child. Synthesizers. Synthfluencers. Thank you, Berkeley. Modular synth. Can I add eurorack? Let's see if that works. Okay. Thank you. Magic the Gathering. So sad what happened. It is so distressing what happened. They just killed the game. The game is it's honestly dead to me. Like, I will play my cube. I was like the biggest fucking Magic fan ever. Like, I loved that game so much. I still love it. I will play my cube. I'll play EDH with people who don't play with like newer cards, and I don't want to sound like, oh, new stuff is always bad. I super fine with like changes and stuff, but it in 2019, I think that was maybe early. Well, I guess blah blah blah. Hasbro was the beginning of the end, but Universes Beyond just really killed it for me. I think I might be able to still play if it wasn't for Universes Beyond. Like I have a ton of problems with the way they've been like just overpowering everything. Modern Horizons just like destroyed what made Modern a fun format. Like just like that wasn't what Modern was for. The way they've just like made EDH like everything is EDH now, like is just really frustrating. And I love EDH, but like it's frustrating that they just keep printing just like cards that are just like, well, you'd be an idiot not to play these. And it's like, yeah, you don't have to play them, but like if you're going to like a shop where there's random other people, like you're kind of screwed if like you don't want to play with arcane signet type cards that are just like clearly overpowered and give multicolor decks that already have a huge advantage even more of an advantage. It's ridiculous. Like they need to reprint the medallions. No, the ones that ETB tapped and tap for 1 mana of a specific color. Like I don't know how they could do this in a way that doesn't break the game even more. Like I feel like there should be like, because the problem right now is like the more colors you play gives you, beside like ignoring green, like as you add more colors you get access to better fixing. Like it's ridiculous because like I don't have a problem with color identity, but like the way it works, it makes it so that in a single color deck you can't use the talismans and the signets. Like but if you play 2 colors, you get access to 1 talisman, 1 signet. If you play 3 colors, you get access to 3 of each. Like it scales like in the wrong way. Like mana fixing should be easier for a monocolor deck, but monocolor decks outside of green like have a hard time producing colored acceleration because they're stuck with these mana rocks, these colorless mana rocks that are like fine, but like I'm sorry, like you want like one of the benefits of playing monocolor should be that it's like you don't worry about having the right color of mana, but you end up with this situation where like decks that have 4 colors are able to run more utility lands because they have so much just like way better fixing, whereas a monocolor deck like that has needs any number some amount of like mana colored mana symbols is just like, oh well, like I'm stuck with these monocolor or not even these colorless mana rocks, so that like makes it so you can't even really put in like colorless utility lands, which is where they should be like the best in because you're monocolor. Like they just like, and like I get the signets and the talismans were made like pre-EDH. Like I'm not saying that like they should be banned or something, but like Arcane Signet, what like the problem with Arcane Signet is it's just like it's obviously not like ban worthy. It's not like super overpowered or whatever, but it just like it's so fundamentally like broken. Like it's supposed to be harder to play with more colors. Like when Command Tower first came out in the first EDH precons, like it was like, oh wow, that's pretty cool. Like, like, but that was when it was one thing. Now it's just like, oh, if your, general's color identity has blah blah blah, then blah blah blah. And it's like I'm like EDH, like there should be benefits to playing monocolor, but as it is, it's like with the exception of certain colors, like if you want to play mono white or mono red, like especially those two, but like even mono black, like it's hard, and not in like the way that you would think based on like, playing monocolor and other formats where it's like, you know, at least was when I was playing, like balanced, it's like, okay, like they're the fixing, like if I want to play two colors, I have to worry about like, shocking myself too much. Like, so there is an actual downside to playing two colors. Like, yeah, you get like the thing with EDH is like as you add a color, it's just like you get like it just access to so many more cards. So like in regular Magic, if you have like a card, like a legendary creature that has like, three different colors, that's like normally would be a downside. But like in EDH, it's the opposite because it's like it gives you access to more colors. Like I love Zada, like Zada Hedron Grinder, 3 in a red, 3/3. If you target it with a spell, it basically copies that spell for all of your other creatures. Like, and so I have a bunch of decks, like multiple decks that are based around her, but don't use her as a general because I want like, I want to. There's all these really interesting interactions with her in these other colors. So like, you know, she's like a really quintessentially like well designed EDH card, like as a general because like or as just like a legendary creature because if you want her to be the general, you're stuck to mono red, which is challenging because you lose access to all this other stuff. But like my so like I want to have interactions with other colors. I really like Zada, but I don't have a mono red Zada deck. I have a Kaikar deck, a Timna and something Krark deck. So Gruul and then Jeskai. And there's really Zada decks, but like they are highly, the because it's like Zada has these crazy interactions with some random, cards that are, all over the color spectrum. But like what makes it challenging is that she's not my general, so I have to like get her, I need to like search her out with a, goblin, recruiter or whatever. Like there are ways to do it, and like they're like the decks are not competitive like CEDH, but like they win a lot. And even because I have to run like multiple ways to search her out. And then there's also silver moon dragon, moon whatever, moonwing dragon, whatever it's called, the one from Eldritch Moon, I think. That's a dragon that basically does the same thing. But like current wizards, like what I would be very upset about, although I haven't played in ages, so like at this point it's like whatever. But like, imagine if they printed like a card with the same text as Zada, but in Jeskai colors, or like God forbid in 5 colors. Like that would be a disaster. Even though like traditionally that would be a worse card because it would be harder to play. But like even like an Is It version of Zada would be just a disaster. I feel like because like she's so powerful that like giving her access to those other colors with her still in the command zone is just like ridiculous. But they haven't done that, thank God. But like the way they're going, it's like that's the kinds of things they're doing. They're printing these legends that are like 3 colors that are just super overpowered, and it's like why would anybody play a 2-color deck, let alone a 1-color deck? It's like like it's, oh god, partner. Oh, I hate partner so much. Partner with is amazing and I love it. Partner just on its own is just flavorless garbage and I hate it. And I hated it when it first came out. I would like to say that. Always hated it. When Partner With came out, I was like, that's amazing. That is like what Partner should have been. And then they made Partner over again. They were just like, oh, just be one. Each partner will be 1 color. And it's like, okay, the cat is already out of the bag. Like you have 4-color decks now that are just like, generically like overpowered because, you can just get two really good creatures in different colors. Anyway, so yeah, Magic has really gone downhill. Universes Beyond, I just like, I don't get how people are okay with it. I guess like, I get like, okay, if you're like somewhat new to Magic, so like context, I've been playing since like elementary school, um, and like, so maybe if you are just getting into it like a year ago, like maybe it's fine. But like, what other like hobby like this would be like okay with a universes beyond type thing? Like imagine like I don't know, like what's something like, I don't know what other things people are into, but like another property or something, and it's like, oh, let's just make the Walking Dead version of this, and it's like, that, how is that like, how is that okay? I don't get it. Like I don't get how people are okay with it, I guess. Like I find it so just like bad. Like it just is awful, and but then like people like seem okay with that, and that's, I find it very disheartening. And it's like people can have different opinions, but like I feel like with Universes Beyond, it's just like, the problem is that, if you make like a game of Monopoly that's based on The Walking Dead, it's like, whatever. If you don't like The Walking Dead, you don't have to play with it. But with Magic, it's like you play with other people. And it's like, I'm sorry, like, I like Magic because it's Magic. I don't want to go and like, you know, play The Walking Dead. Like, I don't know. It's like the lore and the art and all of that is part of what makes Magic amazing. Like, if it was just like blank cards, if it was just like no art or anything, no flavor text, just like card A, like that would be so lame. Like nobody would play it. It's like the lore and the art and all of that is part of what makes it so good and like immersive. And it's like, obviously it's not like immersive like I think I'm playing battling a duel of mages or whatever, but it's like a video game. It's like, an immersive video game. It's like, obviously you're not in Skyrim, but it's like, you know really like well made. It's very immersive. Now like imagine if like, if a Fortnite character just came out in the middle of your game of Skyrim, like that'd be ridiculous, right? Like I don't see how it's any different for Magic. Like maybe people don't think that would be ridiculous. I would be very like, I would think that was super lame if like I'm playing some video game that I really like and then like they're just like, and now, you know, we're gonna advertise for some random other brand just because. And then like, the sad thing is apparently Wizards, like, I originally assumed that it was like they were getting paid to put like other properties, because you're literally like advertising like for other people. Like, if you make Walking Dead cards, it's like people would be like, oh, maybe now the Walking Dead fans will want to get into Magic. And it's like, does like, I support people getting into Magic, is like, but is Magic's like ability or lack thereof to get new people, is that like actually a problem? Like I think that it's great when new people get into Magic, but like I don't think that it's necessary to like, try and expand its reach like artificially in that sense. Like it's like, if people don't get into Magic because like the aesthetic is not their style, that's fine. Like I don't think we should be like, you know ruining the game so that like, people who prefer The Walking Dead will be more likely to get into Magic. It's like, they can, if they like Magic, they like Magic. If they don't, they don't. But instead, people are like, oh well, we need to appeal. And it's like, do we really need to appeal to everybody? Like it's fine if not everybody plays Magic the Gathering. It's like, it's fine if all these, people who love fucking Fallout or Fortnite or whatever Universes Beyond, if they're not like, if they don't, it's like, Magic has its own identity, and when they create these cards that are literally just like, a character from The Walking Dead, a character from Fortnite, but in Magic, it's like it totally breaks the immersion. Like, I don't know, it would be crazy if the next like Skyrim game suddenly like had, I don't know, Lady Gaga make an appearance as herself, like as an actress, like that's different, but like, or like if like those mods where it's like they turn the dragons into Thomas the Tank Engine, if that was like real, or like I'm trying to think of more examples to get my point across. But I just think Universes Beyond is like the worst thing that has happened to Magic. I think it's genuinely ruined the game for me. Like, uh, Zoidberg crabs. Zoidberg crabs. I don't know what that means, but oh, yeah, exactly. Imagine if there were that. Thank you. I'm sorry, I never watched SpongeBob? I'm so sorry. Is that a SpongeBob reference? But yeah, if there was that guy, Zoidberg is a character in the series Futurama, Futurama, as I call it. Yeah, like would that be okay? I personally not so down with it, but it's like I don't think Magic is like that different than like a video game because it's like I get it. It's not like immersive in the sense that like you have a VR headset, but like video games aren't actually like immersive in like, we all know that we're sitting at a computer playing a video game and it has beautiful graphics and all that. It's not like, it's tricking us into thinking we're there, but it's like, but the more details that you have, the more, into it you're able to get. And I feel like that's the same with Magic. Like I find it like, I'm not like actively like I am dueling you as a fellow planeswalker and we must duel and cast summon these creatures and stuff. But it is like there is like a kind of story to it, like in like when you play a game, like, you're dueling. And I just yeah, probably. I don't know. Yeah. Like it's definitely about money. I agree. It's about money. Like but that's oh yeah, that's what the weird thing is like I thought they were like getting paid by these companies to advertise for like Fortnite or whatever because it's like you're literally putting like other properties on cards that people Magic players are going to be buying. It's like you're literally advertising for The Walking Dead or Fortnite or whatever it is. But like apparently does not Wizards pays for the rights, like the licensing to put those properties on Magic cards, which is like baffling to me because like you guys are like losing money like on this. Like I don't know if they're losing money, maybe they like, but like you're like you should be getting paid. Like you shouldn't, like I don't think they should, but like you should like right. It doesn't make any sense to me. It makes no sense. Like why would like it's like why would I pay McDonald's to be allowed to put like a McDonald's logo as a tattoo on my face, like they should pay me. And that's what they're literally doing with Magic cards. They're putting advertisements for these other, games and stuff onto, the cards that everybody plays with. And it's like, did they think that like Magic players are like getting like no, they're literally advertising for Fortnite on Magic cards, but they're paying for the privilege to advertise Fortnite. It doesn't make sense. Okay, well that's just disturbing, but just kidding. I don't know. Companies pay McDonald's for the right to be in the Happy Meal. That is, they should be getting paid. Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that works, but it's ridiculous. Anybody who is like giving McDonald's, is paying to give McDonald's publicity is I don't know, getting a bad deal in my opinion. I don't know how Happy Meals work. Like you can, do other companies like get like logos and stuff? Oh, they put toys. Oh, wait, yeah. Wait, other companies? I guess with that, I don't know. How does it work? I guess if it's a McDonald's, if a McDonald's buyer is buying a McDonald's product and opens up a toy from another, then I guess they're being advertised that other thing. So that I could see why a company would pay for that. Or if it's, but if it's then if it's the other way where the other company gets to do some like McDonald's thing, their customers are, McDonald's is getting publicity from their customers, so they are, yeah, they shouldn't pay for that. That's ridiculous. We should make a law. Just kidding. Not everything should be a law. I need to remember that. I am very passionate about the law. Anyway, I don't know why I started talking about, oh yeah, because I was originally talking about synthesis, and then someone came and told me that my stream was under the Magic the Gathering tag, and that was incorrect because I was talking about audio synthesis. And then I started railing about Magic because I'm very heated. I get very passionate. I love Magic. It's such a good game. It's like, been playing it since I was a little baby. Not really, but like almost. And I'm very distressed. And Modern Horizons, modern. I used to love Modern. Modern was so fun because like you could like really build interesting decks that had like a chance to like do decently. Like they're definitely like the more powerful decks, but like with Modern Horizons, it's like, well, there goes that, there goes that fun format. Oh yeah, I saw some video about how they built a Turing machine out of Magic, which is crazy. Yeah, it's amazing. It's so complex. Like, that's mind blowing that you can like build a computer using Magic cards, like using the rules. Like, that's just crazy. It's so sad. I feel very distressed. I feel very distressed about the state of Magic the Gathering. Ooh, let's see. Do I have any decks with me? Ooh, what's in here? Okay. Let's see what I have. Oh, here's my, because I was talking about Zada and how my worst Magic the Gathering nightmare is if they reprinted Zada as a multicolor legendary creature, because she is quintessentially mono red. And in case you don't know Zada, there we go. She basically copies, when you cast spells targeting her, she copies the spell for all of your other creatures. She's an icon, and I love her. And I have a bunch of Zada decks, but none of them are mono red because she's in the 99 for all of them. And what I was saying, in case you missed it, because I'm very passionate about this, so I'm going to repeat it again, is it would be terrible if they printed her in multiple colors because, like, she's so good that, like, if she was in the command zone, like, and you had access to, like, all the cards, all the, like, crazy stuff that in all of the different colors, like, that would just be too good. Like, it's kind of contradictory because usually turning a monocolor card into a multicolor card makes it worse because it has more mana requirements, but it's kind of counterintuitive in EDH where Zada being mono red is limiting. It makes her worse. Two legendary creatures on one card? Wait, what? Two legendary creatures on one card. Like the double-faced cards? Is this a new thing? Oh, companion. Okay. As long as they don't reprint Zada. I mean, I haven't played EDH in ages, which I'm very sad about. I love EDH, but she's so good. And I've put these like multiple decks together that are like fully based around her and like, you know, put a lot of effort into getting her out, you know, like running stuff like Goblin Matron. Oh yeah, where they have the like secondary thing. I really hope that it would. I feel like if Zada was able to, like, she's just too powerful to be in the command zone outside of mono red, in my opinion. Like, because with mono red, like, you get a lot of really good cards, but you know, it's not like you get, what is this? Traitorous Greed, very good card. But wait, they printing Grandeur again from Future Sight? That's pretty funny. That was like so long ago now. Charge Through. Oh, Modern Horizons 3. I forgot. This card is very good with Zada. So good. So good. But imagine if Zada was in... It's. I shudder to think of it. I shudder to think of it. It would be a disaster. I would be very upset if they printed like a Jeskai version of Zada, because like I put so much work into my Kaikar deck, and Jeskai Zada would just be like, it would just be a punch in the face. It'd be very upsetting. I love her. She's my favorite Hedron grinder. Anyway, dang it! I miss Magic. I miss playing Magic. Ooh, look at this. I have a foil Accelerate. Very proud. Wee. Oops. Moxfield.com. Yes. Oh, what is this deck? Draw 3 cards. Fae of Wishes. Hydroelectric. Oh. Hydroelectric Specimen. When it enters the battlefield, you may change the target of target. Oh, what's the other side? You may pay 3 life? Wait, that seems really good. Right? I think. Okay, 1/3. Subtlety. Tamio, Inquisitive Student. When it attacks, investigate. Whenever you draw your 3rd card, return exit. Oh, interesting. Until your next turn, whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker, gets -1/-0 until end of turn. Return. Interesting. Draw 3 cards, landside, Seagate Restoration, Show and Tell. Offer you can't refuse. That card is really good. Mana Drain? Wait, is this modern? No, Mana Drain's not modern, is it? This is Legacy, right? This is Legacy. No. Wait, what lands do we have? Where are the lands? Oh. There's a bunch of... Wait, I should look at Twitch chat. Oh, okay, it's just a fun deck. Okay, cool. Mana Drain. You have 4 Mana Drains? That's hardcore. Pact of Negation. Ooh, Celundi Vision. I like that card. Sink into Stupor. Return target spell or non-land permanent. Wow. Wait, that's really good. Holy crap. Is it just me? Are the new search your library for an instant? Oh my god, it's teachings for teachings again. Wow, that's really good. Wait. Am I missing something or I mean you bolt yourself, which is pretty rough, but like that's a pretty powerful effect. Return target non-land, target spell or non-land permanent. That seems really good. What's the downside? You take 3 life, I guess. But you can have it come into play tapped. That seems really good. You used to have 4 mana drains. Not anymore. That's valid. I don't blame you. Ooh, I like my Kaya Folio Sylvan Tutor. I love the art on this card. It's beautiful. Oh my god, something just fell. Starting? Who is this? Mono blue. Oh, is this you? No, wait, this is someone else. I can't tell actually. Ali Eldrazi. Oh, Green Sun Zenith. Oh, Sylvan Tutor is a sorcery though. It's not. Well, it's good. It's good, but like, it's definitely not. It's worse than a lot of stuff. But I just run it for redundancy to get Zada out. Because basically the game plan is to get Zada out as fast as possible, and then win. And Sylvan Tutor can do that. Oh man, I feel bad for the Wanderer because she handed, or they. I like the portal. Yeah, it is nice. It's like really big and bold. This card is so sad because what's her name entrusted it to what's her name, and then something happened, and it's terrible. Target permanent. I like how there's all these random 1 mana give target creature hexproof and indestructible cards, because when you have Zada out, it gives everything hexproof and indestructible. Everything that's yours, hexproof and indestructible. I guess if you had, because there's the other one, the dragon. Hang on, let me find it. I'm looking. Ooh, you know what I really like? The 7th edition Birds of Paradise. Oops. I love the art on this. Focus, camera. Okay, I guess we're never going to find out. No. Oh, there we go. There we go. Yeah, I love it. It's very beautiful. Oh yeah, this is my Tana and Krark Zada, secretly Zada deck. It's really a Zada deck. But for the generals, I had Tana and Krark because Zada likes having a lot of friends, little baby friends, and Tana can produce some creatures and is in the right colors. And then Krark is kind of just insane with Zada because he, like, when you have Zada out, it's like better if you lose the coin flip, because it, like, you cast the instant or sorcery, it copies and you flip a coin, but it copies for all of your other creatures. But then if you lose the flip, it goes back in your hand. You can just play it again. It's so good. And I kind of was thinking about putting Krark's Thumb in, because then you get to flip the coin twice. So you could, like, there's like a good chance that you can, like, just keep returning it to your hand. But I do not have that card, so it's not in this deck, unfortunately. But oh man, there's just so many crazy interactions with Zada. It's like, it just, things get wild, like, very quickly when you have her out. Like, things get exponential. Like, if you have a silver fir partisan out with her, because this silver fir partisan, if it'll focus, focus. Most cards, it's like it cares about if something, like you have to cast the instant, but this says whenever wolf or werewolf you control becomes the target of an instant or sorcery spell, you get a 2/2 wolf. So it just has to become the target of an instant or sorcery spell. And so each time it'll create a new wolf, and then for each wolf it'll copy in each of the, so it just like doubles your wolves. Just like, ooh, what's Nadu? Oh god, I'm kind of scared to look it up, but Nadu Winged Wisdom. Creatures you control. Oh my god. That's crazy. Oh god, I shouldn't be looking at this. This is going to make me so sad. Whenever a land enters, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Loyal Inventor. Put it in your hand? If you control an assassin. Whoa. Landfall. Whenever a land... Oh, it's a bestow card. Oh, wait. Sorry, I should be reading this. Okay. Creatures you control, whenever it becomes the target of a spell or ability, reveal the top card. So land, put it on the battlefield. Otherwise, put it in your hand only twice each turn. That seems really good. 3/4 flying for 3? That's nuts. The frick? Oh my god. That's ridiculous. This is why I don't like Modern Horizons. Because at least before, like, all of the sets had to go through standard. So, like, something, like, crazy like that. Actually, maybe that would be more likely to make it through standard. Because, like, if they're like, oh, well, there's not that many... No, they wouldn't print that in standard. That'd be crazy. Would it? Maybe? I'm trying to think. In modern... I mean, it has access to more, like, targeted stuff. But I feel like in standard it would still be pretty bad. Like, they wouldn't print that in standard. Because, like, it would mess up standard. But, like, with Modern Horizons, it's just like, oh, we can just print whatever we want. Because it's not gonna... We don't have to worry about standard. And then it kills modern. Like freaking Ragavan, I hate that card. Like, I like... that it's a monkey. I find that very cute, but it's like, remember when we had Jackal Pup? Not to be like, you know, an old, you know, person about this or whatever, but like, you know, a 2/1 for red used to have a downside. Oh, I think I saw that. It looked really good. Is that the one that costs just 1 mana? Because if so, yeah, that card seems really good. Is this Flesh Duplicate? Any creature has Vanishing 3 if the creature doesn't... Oh. Interesting. Seems good. I think... Well, Tamio. Oops, I lost it. That's okay. Yeah, that card seems really good. Oh yeah, wait, here we go. Inquisitive Student, yes, that seems really good. Third card in your turn. So, oh my god, she's like $50 money-wise. I always wonder, like, how do you know? What if you're, like, with most cards you can tell what color it is by, like, the mana symbols and, like, the color identity by the mana symbols and stuff, but, like, for like the new Tameo, and like there's a few other cards that are like that. It's like monocolor on one side and multicolor on the back. So like, what if you're colorblind? How would you know that it's like green and blue? Like there's no, like, isn't it normally like the mana cost? So like there's no mana cost on the back though. So how is she green and blue? That's confusing. I'm not going to think about it too much. Oh yeah, I wanted to play some music. Right. Anyway, Magic the Gathering. Whew, quite a situation if you ask me. Okay, let's see. Are we... What's going on? Oh. We got something. We got life. Okay. Which one? Which one's alive? Okay, that one is alive. Now... let's go here. And can we get this one to turn on? Oscillator to generate what's called a clock signal, and basically that is just a voltage spike at a certain frequency, and when you can use that to trigger certain events. We're back into synthesis, by the way. So right now it's oscillating pretty quickly, and each of these, this is called a clock divider. It's taking the frequency of oscillations of voltage spikes. So basically, this is a square wave here, and it is taking where it jumps up part of the wave and dividing it by different numbers. So here, this one is this speed, the seventh, and so on. So we can use that to make some drum sounds. So let's first drum. Oh. I'm so quiet. How can I make it louder? Oh, why it's so quiet? That's weird. Oh, is that too loud? Hopefully not. We'll see. Let me know if it's too loud. It's showing up as quite loud on the meter, so I'm like not sure. But to me, it's like pretty quiet. Okay, let's go with that. So there's our kick, or actually, there's another kick drum. All right, we'll do that one. And then let's do a hi-hat. Oh, whoops, I went the wrong way. Let's go. Oh, whoops, nope. Oh. There we go. Sorry. All right. Well, thanks everybody for stopping by. Hope you had fun. I know I sure did. I'll be back sometime in the future playing more synthesizer and maybe talking about magic if I get if someone brings up magic and then I get all riled up about Wizards of the Coast. Yeah. All right. Have a good evening / morning. I don't know what time of day it is, so I can't. Well, I know where it is, where I am, but I don't know where you are. So, okay. Bye. Thank you for coming by. Bye.